Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to day 13 of our 2025 Vlogmas. I hope you have learned a little bit, at least, on the things that I've shared with you over the past 12 days. And I really love sharing what I do, how I do it, and it helps others. It really does. So today I'm going to be talking to you about what my favorite tools are for cake decorating, especially for sugar flowers and for fondant work. So let's just get right into it. One of the first tools that I use it's a set of jewelry pliers and jewelry tools. Now this one right here is the jewelry cutter, and I use this when I'm cutting stems, cutting floral wire, cutting down stems if they're too long or too thick. And I take this with me also when I go to deliver cakes, because if I'm putting the flowers into the cake and the stems are a little too long, and I'm just afraid that they're going to go too far into the cake, I will use this to cut the stems down. And then these are a variety of the pliers, and I use these when I'm maneuvering sugar flowers on a cake. So say I put the stem into the straw to go into the cake, and then I use one of these to change the direction of the flower or move it around, and it really helps because my hands aren't able to get into the delicate flowers, and I'm afraid I'm going to break the flowers. So I use these, and this way I can reach into where the stems are and turn them and move them around without my hands getting in the way. So these are just really perfect. Now, my one all-time tool is the Dresden and the veining tool. I have actually broken so many of these. I should buy them by the dozen, because when I am making certain sugar flowers, such as the Fantasy Peony, where it's a lacy one and you're using the Dresden tool part and you're pulling the flower, you're pulling the petal out and creating a very lacy look to it. Sometimes I press a little too hard and they break. So I've learned my lesson there. I do have several of these, and I also have one that's a metal one, which I will show you this set. This is a set I purchased. These are actually clay tools, and there's a variety of different tips on them. I'll show you that real quick. And there is one here that is very similar to a Dresden tool with the tip, so sometimes I will use that also. This is very valuable for doing a lot of fondant work. If I'm doing fondant work on a cake, it really makes a difference. Then I have two sets of shaping tools, and these are by the Innovative Sugarworks. All right, so these are the two sets that I have. Okay, so the lighter gray is a more softer touch, and the darker gray is firmer. So if you have a lighter hand, you can use the darker gray ones. But if you're heavy-handed, you want to use the lighter ones because they are more flexible and bendable. So you won't put too much pressure onto whatever you're working on. And I have a heavy hand, so most of the time I use these. Once in a while, I use these when I really need deeper impressions. And the one that I use the most out of this set is this one right here. It's called a blending tool, and it has a flat end and just a more narrower flat end on this side. And what it does is it helps you blend the fondant in, such as if you were doing some decorations on a cake that you needed to blend in some seams. This helps blend in the seams. So this is a great tool to have. And of course, I have a variety of ball tools, and you can see here they have different sizes on either end, and this one can go all the way to the tiniest size. This is great for making eyeballs or indentations in the cake, and this one and this one is great for thinning out edges on on the sugar flowers, and maybe doing some curling the edges a little bit in to bring them in a little bit. Now this one right here, this is a favorite. I'll bring it up closer so you can see. It's a veining tool. And let's see here. Let me show you closer. Can you see the ridges on it? And what this is used for is veining flowers. So if you don't have the correct veiner where you're pressing it into the flower to make the veins, this tool, you run it onto the gum paste and it creates veins in the flowers. So it makes realistic looking veins. This is really, really great. I love using this. I use it on a lot of my flowers, and yeah, it's really it's perfect for what I need it for. And then we have cosmetic sponges. And I know this is a silly tool that you would think for using on fondant and gum paste work. But this helps, say if you were doing a bas relief design and you're using a mold. So this helps push in if the mold is really narrow and your fingers or there's not enough cornstarch on your fingers and it sticks to your fingers sometimes. It's really great to use a cosmetic sponge to push it down into the mold because it won't stick, the gum paste won't stick to the cosmetic sponge as much as it will stick to your fingers. So this helps push down the fondant or gum paste into molds and makes it much easier. Now this is a scraper. It's an icing scraper, and I originally purchased it for using when I'm making cake lace, and this way you can scrape off the excess cake lace off of the mat. But I use it for everything now. Say if I'm another bas relief design and I push the fondant or gum paste into the mold, but I don't want it to be fully a mold. I want it to be just lightly to give it a lacy look. So I take the scraper and I scrape out evenly a lot of the fondant or gum paste, and this way it creates little holes depending on the depth of the design, and it gives it a more lacy look. However, this can be used for so many different things, for cake lace, or say if I'm making a stencil on a cake, you can use this to scrape off. You can use it to apply the royal icing onto the stencil. There's so many things that this can be used for, and I love them. And then I always make sure that I have a wide variety of brushes. So as you can see here, this is my brush basket, and I will try to turn it sideways without it dumping over. So these are the most of the brushes I have. I do have a pile of brushes that I use that I need to wash, but this is a whole basket of brushes. And as you can see, there's all kinds of different types. This is a very soft one. This is good for doing paint on a cake, or sometimes I will do a cake board with some kind of design on it, and I will water down some gel color and make a wash out of it. And I have all kinds, sizes and kinds of brushes. I have flat brushes such as this, and I have more refined brushes, and these are smaller designed brushes. And then here's another flat brush with a tapered end. So we have all different types of brushes here. So I always keep a wide variety of brushes. So having a wide variety of brushes really helps because you have a lot to choose from to decide on what you're going to use for your design. All right there, that is the majority of my favorite tools that I use in my cake business. I have many others, but these are the ones that I use the most often. And I would love to hear about what your tools are, the ones that you use the most, and what are your favorites. All right, folks, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel because it really helps others see my channel more. And plus, it helps you when you log on to YouTube to be able to see any new videos that I've posted. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.